In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of the highlights from Seed the Future protests that were held here in the UK across all the major cities. We came together for a peaceful protest to bring awareness to the ridiculous laws that surround the industrial hemp plant here in the UK. If you were to grow hemp, you would actually be breaking the law because it is classified as a Schedule 1 drug. Even though it's non-psychoactive, it's good for our bodies, it's good for the environment, it can be used in a multitude of ways to help our economy and also the environment. It's just ridiculous that it's classified as a drug. Also, in March of next year, the FSA and also the MHRA are trying to put into practice the novel foods application, which means that all of the CBD products that you may buy at the moment, full spectrum, broad spectrum, narrow spectrum, all of them won't be available in March of next year, because if this novel foods application goes through, it means that all that will be available will be an isolate based product. And isolate based products are far more inferior to a whole plant full spectrum solution. So firstly, we're going to go over to Guy Coxell. He is the founder of Seed the Future campaign. He's also the founder of Hemp Tank. And he's going to be talking to you about how hemp has been used historically for thousands of years in a multitude of ways. And he's also going to tell you how hemp, which is also classified and called cannabis, how cannabis was prohibited in the first place, which you'll be surprised because it's not what you would think. So I hope you do enjoy watching this video. Let's get over and see Guy.
Seed the Future campaign is about the end of prohibition for industrial hemp. The hemp plant, or the cannabis plant, is hugely important for our health, our environment and our economy. We need a new green economy. Hemp has been used, it's thought to be one of the first agricultural crops. It's been used for over 10,000 years. It's a very important crop. It can clothe you, it can feed you, it can give you medicine, it can house you. Back in King Henry VIII's time, it was law that farmers had to set aside a certain proportion of their farm to grow hemp, and that was for the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy depended on hemp. We wouldn't have had the Royal Navy without it. It was used for the ropes, the sails, and even the clothing would have most likely been hemp. Also, when the ship went out on a voyage, it would have had a cargo of hemp seeds. So when we discovered different continents, the first crop that would have been laid down would have been hemp, because it was such an important crop. Why do we have cannabis prohibition? Prohibition started in the 1920s, but it really developed in the United States in the 1930s. Harry Aslinger, who was the head of the Bureau of Narcotics, he started off a propaganda program called the Gore Files, and it was all based on ideology and racism. What he was trying to do really, after the prohibition of alcohol, which failed, they looked at something prohibiting something else, and that was hemp and cannabis. The reason for that was to do with corporate greed. Harry Aslinger was working with William Randolph Hearst, who was a media mogul. He had a lot of investment in the timber industry, and he had a lot of newspapers. He depended on his income from the timber industry. Who gained from prohibition? There was also the pharmaceutical industries. So prior to 1937, when they had the Marijuana Tax Act, which taxed hemp so much that it was just not economically viable to grow, there were over 2,000 whole plant cannabis medicines in the Western world. So if you went to a doctor, you would have most likely been given medical cannabis. Cannabis has been used as a medicine for over 5,000 years in China, about 1,000 years in India, and it was quite common across Europe and the United States. It's completely safe, you know. It was in the US pharmacopoeia for over 100 different diseases. So that shows you how important it was. It was used in Chinese medicine for 120 different diseases. As I said, it was in the US pharmacopoeia from 1851, and it was deleted in 1942. How can you delete a medicine, a natural medicine, from a pharmacopoeia? It was also deleted in 1937 from the UK's pharmacopoeia. So when the government say that cannabis has no medicinal value, they're lying because they know that it has medicinal value. There's plenty of history that proves the medicinal value. And then there was the oil companies. So back in the 1930s, Henry Ford, who developed the Model T Ford, one of his first Model T Fords was built using a biocomposite made from several plants, one of them being hemp. It was 10 times stronger than steel. It was lighter. There's actually a video on YouTube you can see of Henry Ford hitting this car with an axe, and he couldn't dent it or damage it. The diesel engine was also designed to run on plant oil, and he designed it to run on hemp seed oil. He was very much an advocate for hemp seed, and there was an article called The $1 Billion Crop, where they found that 1 acre of hemp could produce 300 gallons of hemp biodiesel. When you crush the seed to extract the oil, you're left with about 3 tons of hemp protein powder per acre as well, which is an amazing food, so it would help our food security as well. Then there's also the paper and the cotton industries. They also had financial interests. There was DuPont, who was obviously involved in the oil industry, but also the cotton industry. A lot of people think cotton is really sustainable because it's a plant, but cotton uses about 50% of the world's agricultural water and about 25% of the world's pesticides. So it's very intensive on water and chemicals. It poisons the land, it poisons the water systems. It's really destructive. Hemp you can make hemp cotton. Pretty much everything I'm wearing is hemp, and it's sustainable. You can grow it locally. We could have an industry here in the UK making hemp cotton, hemp clothing. So it was really all of these corporations who wanted a monopoly. It was all about corporate greed, and a lot of people think cannabis was prohibited in the 1930s because of the THC, because of the psychoactive effects of cannabis. It wasn't. It was really to do with the hemp industry. They wanted to monopolise it and take away the possibility of hemp as a natural resource.
So there we had Guy Coxall, who's shown us that we've been using hemp in a multitude of ways for thousands of years. Let's now go over to Trevor Coleman, who is going to explain a little bit more detail about what a Schedule 1 drug classification actually means. And he's also going to explain how hemp is not a novel food. We have been eating hemp, and cattle have been eating hemp for centuries. So let's go over to Trevor.
It's considered a Schedule 1 drug, which means it's got a drug with no medicinal benefits and a high propensity for abuse, which is absolutely ridiculous.
They sell CBD, and in March next year they're trying to make CBD into a novel food, which means that you won't be able to use the whole plant. You'll only be able to use an isolate, which I just think is ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous in this country because everybody, there's a historical cultural reference that everybody knows. We all watch it every Christmas. Everybody knows Oliver Twist. Right. Everybody knows that scene. Please, sir, can I have some more? Yeah. Hemp, gruel was made from hemp. It's not a novel food, it's the original food. This is how we rebuild Britain. I live in Durham, which is it's kind of the outskirts of the area. And I'm surrounded by tens of thousands of acres of land. I'm seeing forests being cut down, but all this land that's doing nothing.
I know, we did used to get hemp in as daily diets as a byproduct of eating cattle because it would grow wild at the side.
Exactly.
In fields.
Yeah,
and cattle would eat it and we would get it as a byproduct. But
exactly.
We don't get that anymore, do we?
Exactly, but I don't know why, because hemp, right now, in the States, there are farms that are doing this, and they're finding that hemp-fed cattle are steroid, hormone, and antibiotic free. Pigs tend to be 30 pound heavier, your chickens are laying far richer yolks. Meanwhile in the UK, our recycling strategy is to feed plastics to animal feed, to put it in animal feeds.
So now we're going to hear from Simpaca, who's going to explain that hemp and cannabis is exactly the same thing. It's the same plant, it's just one is high in THC and one is low in THC. He's also going to explain how we can utilise the properties of the hemp plant to make a variety of different products that would help the environment, help our economy and also benefit our health. Let's hear from Simpa.
Well, hemp is cannabis is hemp. There is no distinction. Ultimately, they are the same plant. It is cannabis sativa L. So the separation and the division within the cannabis industry, be it medicinal versus recreational, CBD versus THC, is a deliberate one. It is to keep the true potential of this plant from us. Ultimately, we are seeding the future because without this plant there will not be one. We are facing environmental and ecological collapse. We are facing an economic deprivation the likes of which humanity has never seen. This plant can negate those things. We can remove the toxins from our airways, from our water, from our food by adding this simple thing into our lives.
So what do you hope for the future then? What would be the ideal scenario? What would you like to happen in the UK?
The true ubiquitous re-legalization of cannabis. We tear up every fraudulent and terroristic legislation that has been put in place to withhold our potential of growing a future fair for all. This one resource, these thousands of seeds that you see here that we have, that can grow our future. This can provide us homes, it can provide us fuel, it can provide us batteries, it can provide us plastics. We don't need half of the things that we're left with that every day are destroying us. Each week we eat a credit card's worth of plastic. We don't need petroleum when we have cannabis-based plastics. We don't need to farm for lithium when we have cannabis graphene, which is a far better superconductor. We don't need to cut down trees when we can grow hemp. We don't need concrete when we can grow hemp. This plant gives me the ability to live my life. It's not a medicine in that sense. It is a supplement. It's a base requirement for my health. It's no different than taking a vitamin as far as I'm concerned.
So we all participated in acts of rebellion, which was that we all planted hemp seeds just to show the ridiculousness of the laws that it's classified as a Schedule 1 drug. So we'll now go over and we'll see various different acts of rebellion and what the police did when they saw this happening. We'll also hear why people are so passionate about the hemp plant and why it's so important for us to get this prohibition lifted. So enjoy watching.
For our health, for the planet, a little drop in here about hemp. Hemp captures 25 times more carbon than trees do, and the difference is trees take 20 years to grow and hemp takes 20 weeks to grow. This is a plant that can save the world, and hemp really can pave the pavement for it, or pave the way to make sure that happens, while giving us incredible items. I mean, if you look at the table over there, the plants that have captured the police's attention, I actually got from being here yesterday.
You just planted that there.
It's what you're seeing right now. People are being warned that if they have a hemp plant, they will be cautioned. They'll have their hemp plant confiscated. It's important to say and to get this message across because, you know, we're all here, we all feel passionate about this plant, and times need to change, and they don't need to change in the next 6 years, they need to change in the next 6 months. Boris Johnson, if you're listening to this, please take note. This is going to save your economy. It's going to look after my child. As I was lying down with her in bed last night, putting her asleep, I remember just looking at her, just thinking that I'm doing this for you. And that is, you know.
So when I use the word cannabis in any of my social media or any on YouTube or anything, I do end up getting my account blocked, or I get, because people sort of have this stigma around cannabis as just being about THC, but cannabis has got all of the other cannabinoids, CBD and
THCV, THC, CBD, CBN. Then you've got all the acid versions of it, the raw form, before it's even heat treatment or any other treatment, natural dried, and so on. It is over 100 known cannabinoids in one plant. It's not all about getting high.
I've come over today to help support the awful laws that are in place surrounding cannabis, hemp, everything. It shouldn't be like this at all. At the end of the day, it's a plant, it's not harming anybody. If anything, it benefits people massively in all different ways.
Planted these hemp plants
I have.
like the other week, and they're starting to grow, and obviously that is really classified as being illegal, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because it's classified as a Schedule 1 drug, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Brighton, See the Future, planting industrial hemp in the flower beds because it's very stupidly and dangerously illegal to grow it when it has the capacity to help us out of the climate crisis. It can suck up emissions, it can provide medicine, it can provide fibre for clothes that's softer than silk, that doesn't use water in the amounts that cotton does. It cleans the soil from heavy metals and toxins as it grows. It grows 4 times a year. It provides a superfood for humans and animals with protein in perfect proportion. So for vegans and plant-based diets, you get all your protein from hemp. The first Bible was written on hemp paper, and it's been used for all laws and everything to be written on. It was only made illegal 100 years ago. And all over the world, it's legal. In China, they have farms so big you can see them from space, but not here. Even though we are the major exporter of cannabidiol to Europe, grown by Theresa May's husband, I believe, and someone else in the Home Office. So
Victoria Atkins' husband.
Legalise it.
Victoria Atkins MP's husband at British
Victoria
Cannabis.
Atkins MP's husband is the biggest exporter of it. Legalise industrial hemp now!
My name's Catherine.
Catherine, and what brings you here today, Catherine?
Cannabis, basically. Everyone needs the right to grow a plant. All it is a plant. It's nothing weird or wonderful or scary or freaky. It's a freaking plant, and you treat it as a plant.
So several months ago, at the start, usually you would sow hemp in Northern Ireland at the end of May. So several months ago, we distributed seeds all over to all the counties, and even from as far as Benone Beach down to Wicklow. This is a plant that is not got Misuse of Drugs Act. And we should have to jump through so many loopholes to get to grow it, use it, process it. And we would like to set up an infrastructure within Northern Ireland, and the UK, so that the hemp that we grow can be processed and produced and sold all in the one location or all on the one island without having to export or import. The CBD shops are being given unimaginable hoops to jump through in order to sell these oils and to sell the products. John Linwood applied to sprout seed, which is one of the new superfoods and is highly nutritious. And he was denied his license because of the Misuse of Drugs Act. In other words, the seed is legal, but once it germinates and sprouts, that's illegal. We're breaking the Misuse of Drugs Act. I'm not.
And the fact that hemp is the low-grade THC, which doesn't involve the psychoactive effect, blows my mind even more that people are seeing past it and not realising that it's one whole plant that has a great overall value.
I'm Alan Thompson, a member of Durham Cannabis Club. I'm here to promote the safe use of cannabis and the health benefits that people can get from it. It should be decriminalised so we can all enjoy free medication.
I've got fibromyalgia. I've also got complex regional pain syndrome, which is autoimmune, and obviously cannabis treats autoimmune diseases. I've got IBS, asthma, I've got loads of conditions, and it treats all of them. I mean, without it, I'm actually in a wheelchair.
Right, okay.
So it's...
And you're not in a wheelchair today?
No, I can't wear shoes, but...
So as we can see, hemp classified as a Schedule 1 drug is just ridiculous. It's also not a novel food. We've been using it for centuries, for thousands of years. So if you would like to get involved and support us in the Seed the Future campaign, we will be holding another protest in September. When I say protest, because we all love hemp and we all use hemp, we eat it, we're all very relaxed and pretty chilled out really, so it's just a nice fun day out to meet some like-minded people. I encourage you to come and support us in September. You can get details from seed.thefuture, which is our Instagram page, or Seed the Future on Facebook. Come along, it's a great day out, and help us support the hemp plant and end prohibition so that it can benefit our economy, our health, and also the environment. Thanks for watching.